Hello everyone. So today we're going to continue our work with triangles, but specifically we're going to look at angles today because we're going to get into the unit circle later this week, and we need some definitions about angles and how best to put this on the coordinate plane. So I'm going to go ahead and present for you. We're going to stick with degrees today. So we're going to only do this in degrees. Eventually we're going to learn about radians as well, but today we're going to just stick with degrees. So we're going to look at angles, coterminal angles, and reference angles today. So an angle, what is an angle? It's formed by two rays. So as a ray is a line with an endpoint and then an arrow on the other end, but it's formed by two rays with the same endpoint. So this right here would be your angle. And then the vertex is the end point of an angle. So this point right here is the vertex. Standard position. When the vertex of an angle is at the origin of the coordinate plane, so the vertex is going to be right here, and one ray is on the positive x-axis. So here's the positive x-axis over here, that's a ray, and then we could have it like this. And the angle would be right here. That is the angle. Initial side. The initial side of an angle is the ray found on the positive x-axis. So if this is your angle right here, this on the positive x-axis, remember this is your x-axis, this is the positive side, this is your initial side. And then likewise, we have a terminal side, so initial beginning side, that's where it starts right here. And then the terminal side is the ray of an angle not found on the positive x-axis when the angle is in standard position. So where the angle ends. So if this is my angle right here, and my angle is this, again, my initial side is right here, and my terminal side is going to be this one right here. That's my terminal side. Okay, so we also have positive and negative angles. All the ones I've drawn right now are positive because it goes counterclockwise or it goes up. That's how I remember it. Starting at the initial side, we're going up. We're starting positively. So if I have my angle right here, let's try and draw this, and we're going to go right here. The positive one would be because it goes up and around counterclockwise. Likewise, I can have negative angles. And negative angles are where I'm going to also have the same initial side. The terminal side can be wherever. So we're going to put it right here. But this time I'm going clockwise. So I'm going to start by going down and around. So if I start going down, that's negative. Okay, so here, draw an angle with the given measure in standard position. Well, this right here, if I start right here, is 0 degrees. If I go up to here, I've gone 90 degrees because I've made a right angle. If I keep going around to right here, it's 180 degrees because I make a straight line. So again, we're always starting right here on this initial side. Over to here is 270. And a full circle around is 360. And that's when you do a positive one. Now, if I were to go backwards, this would be 0. This right here would be negative 90 degrees. If I were to keep going, this would be negative 180 degrees. This would be negative 270 degrees. And then this would be negative 360 degrees. Meaning, if we're going positively, these are our quadrants. Remember, they make a C. So this right here is quadrant 1. And it is between 0 and 90 degrees. Now, it is not including 0 or 90 because those are on the axes. Those are not in a quadrant. They're non-quadrantal angles. If we keep going around, we have here is between 90 and 180. Put the degrees up here. Keep going. This is between 180 and 270. Remember, not including these because they're quadrantal angles. And lastly, between 270 and 360. So the way we write, if it is on the 0, the 90, the 180, and the 360, how we write that is they're known as quadrantal angles because they're on the quadrant. And we'll just abbreviate that as QA. QA. Sorry, my dog, I think, is chewing something she's not supposed to. Always happens during these videos. So 70 degrees, let's start with that. 70 is between 0 and 90, so it's in the first quadrant. Sorry, I forgot to put the rest of these up here. This is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and they are in Roman numerals, and this is the fourth quadrant. So up here, I'm going to write that this is in the first quadrant, so I know it's up here. I need to do my initial side, so this is my initial side. And then my terminal side, well, it's closer to 90 than it is to 0, so I'm going to go like this. It doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to show that you know that the initial side is always on this positive x-axis, and that's between 0 and 90, but closer to 90. And then we have to, because it's positive, we put in the arrow. You always put in the arrow showing which way the angle is going because it could be positive or negative. Okay, for B, we have negative 135. Well, it's more than 0, more than negative 90. It's between negative 90 and negative 180. In fact, it's exactly halfway between negative 90 and negative 180. Negative 135 is. So it's right here in quadrant 3. So I know it's right here. I'm going to put my initial side there. My terminal side is going to be halfway through quadrant 3. And since this is a negative 1, our arrow is going to go down and around. All right, next one. This is also negative, so I know I'm going to go clockwise or start down. Put on my initial side. Now, negative 31 is between 0 and negative 90. So we're in quadrant 4, so I'm in here. And 31 is closer to 0 than it is negative 90, so it's going to be like here. Again, doesn't have to be exact. Just do about where it should go. And we put our arrow showing that it is negative. Lastly, 117. Put our initial side. 117 is between 90 and 180. It's a little bit closer to 90, so we are going to go here. Doesn't have to be perfect. And this is in quadrant 2. I like to usually tell what quadrant they're in, and it's going to go around positively that way. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so coterminal angles. Two angles in standard position that share the same terminal side. So these are ones sometimes, like if I had a positive and a negative. So let's draw this out here. Let's say that I have this line here and this line here. Now, going this way, this is 240 degrees. But going this way, it's negative 120 degrees. So these are called coterminal because they share the same side, but they are different ones. To find positive coterminal angles, you add 360 degrees until you get a different positive number. And when we get to radians, just so we know, this is going to be 2 pi. Just so we have these in our notes. And to find the negative ones, we're going to subtract. And don't worry, we're going to practice this. So 360 until you get a different negative number. And here it's again going to be 2 pi that we'll subtract. All right, so we need to find two positive coterminal angles with negative 410 degrees. Since they're positive, we're adding 360. So I'm going to put into my calculator negative 410. And you should be able to do this in your head, but if you can't, it's totally fine. And we're going to add 360. Well, here I have negative 50. Is that a positive number? Nope. So we're going to keep adding 360. Now, I have 310 degrees. So one of these, that's positive, is 310 degrees. But I need to find two positive ones. So I'm going to add another 360. And I'm going to get 670. So our angles can be more than 360. And you'll see what that looks like in just a second. But 670 degrees. So there we go. Now we need to find two negative coterminal angles. So, and it's 579. So we're going to start with 579, and since it's negative, we're subtracting 360. We got 219. That's not negative. Keep subtracting. We got negative 141. So negative 141. And we got to get 2, so let's subtract it again. Negative 501. Okay. Now we need to find one positive and one negative coterminal. That's 227. So, just so you know, if you want to pause this and do this yourself, you're more than welcome to. To find the positive one, I'm going to take 227, and I'm going to add 360, and I get 587. That's different, so we are good. And then I'm going to do the same thing, 227, but I'm going to subtract it now. Hopefully I get a negative number. And I do, it's negative 133. So I have one positive and one negative coterminal angle. Okay, for the next one. Find the measurement angle between 0 and 360 with negative 321. Since that's negative and I need to get a positive number, I'm going to add. So we're at negative 321. I'm going to add 360. Look, I got 39. That's between 0 and 360, so we're all good. That's 39 degrees. For the next one, find the measurement angle between 0 and 360 with 1054 or 1054. So we're going to take 1054, subtract 360. Am I between 0 and 360? Not yet, so let's subtract it again. Am I there now? I am. 334 is between 0 and 360. And the reason we did these last two is those are called reference angles. They're a positive angle measure created with the terminal side of the angle and the x-axis between, and these are going to be between 0 degrees and 360 degrees. So it's between 0 and 360 degrees. That's how you find a reference angle. And it's going to be positive. It has to be positive. All right, so sketch and graph each of the following in standard position. Be sure that your swoosh marks match the number of turns around the unit circle. Then find the reference angle. So we're going to practice these. Once you feel like you get it, pause the video and do it yourself. So first of all, negative 460. So I start here, and we always put our positive side down. Well, this is negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So already I'm going around fully once. And then we're going to keep going. Negative 360. This is negative 450. So negative 460 would be about here. And what we did was we started here. We went around all the way once and then an extra 100 degrees. So you show that you went 360 and then some. And since it's negative, we started off going down. And that's negative 460 degrees. Now I need to find a reference angle. And since a reference angle has to be positive, I'm going to add 360 till I get it between 0 and 360. And my reference angle is 260. So 260 degrees. I just kept adding 360 till I got a number between 0 and 360. Okay, for our next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start here. This one's positive, so we're going up and around. So one full rotation is 360. And then we get to 450. You're adding 90 each time. This is 540. So it's just past 540 at 553. And the way I know this is just so you know, I do my 9s times tables. So 0, 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54. And just add the 0, 540. And then keep going. So here, it's a positive one. So I went up and around fully once. And then I kept going to here. And since we need to find the reference angle, we're going to take 553. This is above 360, so we're going to subtract 360. And it's 193. 193 is my reference angle. Okay. Next one, 1,000, and it's a negative 1,000. So let's start here. So sometimes you're going to be able to really get used to doing this in your head. So negative 360. And if you know anything about like snowboarding or skateboarding, this really helps here because then 2 turns around is negative 720. And then we get 3 turns around is 1080, so that's a little bit too far. So we're going to start at negative 720, negative 810, negative 900, negative 990. So it's just past negative 990. Now I did 2 full ones around, so 1, 2, and then come back up to the angle, and it's negative. Now to find a reference angle, I'm going to start with negative 1000. I'm going to keep adding 360 until between 0 and 360. And, oops. So we had negative 1000 plus 360 plus 360 plus 360. And I get 80 as my reference angle. And some of you guys might be able to do that in your head, and that's perfectly fine. But just make sure you double check it. So now we have a positive 1000. So we already know full 2 rotations around is 720. Then we go to 810, 900, 990. It's just past that at 1000. So we went around twice. So 1, 2, and then some. And to get the reference angle, we're going to start with 1000 and subtract 360. And it's not going to be 80. So this is why you guys always need to do it this way. It's actually 280 this time. 280 degrees. And that's our lesson for today. Thank you guys for all of your patience with this. I really recommend reviewing these definitions because they're really going to help us as we move further in this. If you have any questions, I'm always available. Have a wonderful day.